Peace, family, peace and blessings to everyone who is probably going to take a little bit of time to come on in. And it won't be a large group of people, but that's okay. It's the best of folks who I am so blessed to have you just desire the level of discourse that I try my best to always engage in and to be as fair and balanced as I can without the taunts and the vitriol that seems to be what the owners of social media will promote. I'm not in the mood for that, and I'm in the mood for the end of that and separating from all this hell. So please, brother Yappa Yappa, I sent you an email, brother, to come on in anytime. I'm just gonna go over the parameters of the discussion. I don't even want to call it a scandal because scandal sounds like there's, you know, criminals or just really bad, amoral people involved with that. This is just basically human beings. Peace, Sister Gwen V. How you doing, Queen? Um, and so I want to handle this beyond my own emotional response to it. Not that I have any acquaintance with Brother Rizza Islam, other than through public media, which is heavily controlled and not in our favor. But I also respect what he's attempted to do. Even though, just like all of us, he's not perfect in any regard. But more than even him, I have respect for those who admire him, believe in him, who champion what he's been to their lives personally. And in all of the levels of social media, to have been someone who just unflinchingly brings any level of truth, and you're not out there like, let me show you, let me share my screen. Oh, peace, brother Yappa, let me add you to the stream. There we go. Peace, my brother, how you doing?
Peace. I'm good. I'm good. Now you know how janky this connection is, but I'm here for now anyway.
Yeah, that's good. I hope that you'll stay for, the entire thing so we can just have a conversation, because I think it's wonderful to have a brother, and especially you as a brother, here discussing this. Because as a woman, I have a role in our nation, in our society, that I cherish, because I see how much it's hunted by the attack of feminism and then just whiteism altogether. And so I don't want to approach this from a standpoint of I'm correcting men, because I can't do that. So I just want to put out the facts surrounding all the parties as far as I've been able to garner. And then you, as a capitally upstanding Black man, please just interrupt me, put what you need to put on there as your reflections on the matter itself. There's certain aspects of this that we cannot discuss because of the massive censorship that's up here, and everybody knows about that. So we'll be doing some Negro spiritualizing in order to convey the depth of what we're discussing without incurring the wrath of the owners of this platform plantation. And thereby we could speak amongst us who are, this is the most effective way of us reaching as many as possible. And so I welcome everybody who's come on in. Peace, brother Nano John. Good to see you, brother. And Queen, I know who I am. Salute to you, sister. And I think that's it for right now. We got 8 people listening. That good enough for me. How about you, brother Yapo?
Peace, peace. Oh, yeah, I'm good. Peace to everybody that's in the chat. Just want to let you know, you already know I don't follow a whole lot of the stuff, so you'll actually have to bring me up to speed as you're bringing everyone else up to speed, or they may already know about it. But I'm coming in here. I don't even know what's going on, to be honest. So yeah, bring me up to speed, and I can give my opinion for what it's worth.
It's worth everything, because it's also just it's a building just reality that we present, that is a rebuttal to the nonstop racist, reversionist racism that they have, where they've reinvented it by no longer being like old style racist, but new style, where there's this idea that Black men and Black women cannot have a conversation even without it, descending into some sort of like mudslinging thing. And that just is ridiculous. So let me share my screen and go on over to the data that I have already prepared. Let's see. It's all starting, I think, from here. Yes. This, I can't play it, but this was Brother Farrakhan, for me, the Honorable I'm sorry, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who gave a believers meeting on September 7th. And I think today is the 15th, on this year, covering this situation. And wonderfully, they have the transcript here, and his voice you can hear, but I can't play it because there would be copyright infringement immediately. I don't care how small my channel is. So is Brother Rizza, if you're listening, I wish you very well. A very handsome brother too, highly intelligent. This is what the minister is saying. Okay. But you've got to bring your morale standard up, your moral standard up, because the women are going to fall in love with you. But you can't have them all now. Moving on to the next one. I don't know how Solomon made out, how long he lived either. Man, he'll kill himself with 1,000 concubines, but I'm not envious of Solomon. Okay, keep on going. And when you understand who a woman is and what a woman is, I can hide that. Please, brothers, don't mess with them. Don't mess over them. Very wise counsel, as always, is the minister's way.
Now, these are the Minister Farrakhan's
Yes,
quotes?
these are quotes directly from him. It's just that I can't play so you can hear it directly in his voice. So I'm just reading it.
Okay.
They are from God, but they can be from the devil if you don't treat them right. Sisters, we're going to get into that September 16th. I guess he's going to be doing an address to the sisters, which he does just amazingly healing messages for Black women. Okay, there we go. There's the one. The sister is charging you, Brother Rizza, with rape. That's a horrible charge. But to my sister, you know what yourself. You were engaged to that man, according to what I read. Now, I'm reading just what he said, and later on, I'll come in with more information. Okay, move into the next one. And you allowed him to stay in your house. You allowed him to lay down on your bed, and he laid down beside you. What the hell is going on here? And get angry with you because you act like the savage that's just 1/4 of an inch under your skin. See, you bring the N word out of us. And what he means there is not that he's saying that the woman, and that's the woman's beguiling power. You could take a man to that level where he just is right there. He's ready to go for it. And then you just, can put the brakes on all of a sudden. So you've set the situation up. And he's not blaming the sister for what happened because it's a serious charge. But outside of the Yoruba society's parameters, there's so much more nuanced involved in all of this, where neither party is an innocent in any of what has transpired, neither the man nor the woman. But when you go through their judicial system, it's always going to be who wins the presentation of their argument, so that the judge, because the judge isn't going to come to some sort of collaborative determination. It's going to be, did he rape you or didn't he rape you? The answer is going to be yes or no, guilty or not guilty, not a nuanced resolution. So that's, what the minister is bringing out, okay, in my interpretation, out of us, and then act like you did nothing. That's just wrong. And a lot of people right now have been talked into disengaging or from their own contribution to a conflict. That's very cowardly, very, very cowardly and self-serving, right? I'm not reading from the minister. That's my assessment on that. So if you're engaged, don't mean come to my room, get in my bed, and I'll lay beside you and nothing better happen. You're a damn fool, right? Now, when you started acting like you wanted something, please, sir, no, stop. See, when you get the N-word up in a man and you tell him to stop, then what the hell are you doing? Getting me in this condition recently and telling me stop. You got to be a hell of a man to get that close and stop. And this would also include their relationship. They're engaged. And so there's a long-term connection going on there, that, judging by the intellect of Rizza, I would say I don't think he would be engaged to just a dumb little ninny woman, right? So there's just a whole electricity going on there that is sapiosexual intense, right? Sisters, you need to mind yourself. You want to pull down a good man, then you but I bet he ain't going to marry you. All right. I don't, yeah. If you want a man, don't give him a damn thing but the greetings, and give the greetings with your eyes lowered. When I first became friends with my king, we didn't look directly in each other's eyes. And that's because Allah he managed to put strangers together so they could forge a family. And that eye connection is one of the windows of the soul. That is so intensively powerful that you do not want to just step into that ring, and you're not connected that way fully all the way through marriage, through commitment. And so I agree with this, as much as it might be because we've been infested with the idea of feminism and everything is equal. And no, it's not. No, it's not. There are hazards along the road that only the Most High paved. You got people out here thinking they could get away from the nature they were born with. No, you can't. That's one of the issues, where they've talked us to a level of just hedonism. And I'm not talking about homosexuality, but just this attention whoring, all of these different things in order to get 5 seconds of satisfaction. Oh, look, he liked me. And for the brothers, this whole idea of, I got another notch on my belt. When even for men, your bodies are sacred too. A woman should not be taking your body lightly. You should not be taking your body lightly, because ultimately, out of all of this, it's your character, it's your mind, it's your spirit for the men and the women. And nobody can pay attention to your spirit and your soul if you just pushing your physicality on them immediately. That diminishes who you are as a man. You are the champion of our nation. Right now, I'm not meaning that as a correction. I'm just saying that when I look at the Black man, I see the hero of all earth. That's what I see. Okay. And nobody could thwart that. That's just a fact. So if you want a man, all right, I already read that one. Let's move on. Our women are beautiful. Man, you can't lay beside one of our women. And even the ugliest one you think is ugly, lay beside her and say, don't do nothing. Don't do nothing. Okay. And I don't know if that's the last one. Okay. So you better come to the class, FOI class, and learn how to be a good man. That's not something you're born with. That's something you're guided to be. All right. So, Brother Rizza, I very much love you and respect the good work that you do. All right. And I think, oh no, that's not, this is the last one. But don't mess it up by being immoral because you're handsome and highly intelligent and you win arguments. Good. But you can't win an argument with God and his law. And you're going to have to answer to the law. This is just absolutely stunningly to the point. Now, in finding this, my king is the one who let me know about this situation. And in looking it up, it's not right now being talked about broad reaching, but this platform, the underground bunker, is very questionable. But they had good information. However, I think they're going from a standpoint that to a certain extent, I can agree with them. But to another extent, I can see where this is possibly just, well, I know it's a white man because I went to his channel in order to get that video. And it's a white man. He's going to interpret us through his very biased perception. So my king and I had a conversation about Brother Rizza, who, I repeat, I respect the work of Brother Rizza in what he does, that because of the censorship, I can't say. He's been booted off of YouTube, I know, altogether. He can't even, like me, I opened up a new Gmail account and I'm back up on here. He can't even come up on here. And I found it incredible that there were articles about a whole bunch of people who were booted off of YouTube and all the social media, including folks like David Icke. And there was Rizza up in that. All white people they booted off. But there was Rizza. And I was like, what? But he's been quite powerful. I mean, I listened to this brother explain the dynamics of what he was rallying against. And this brother is brilliant. He's brilliant in his knowledge, in his presentation, in his passion for us. And so I was like, whoa, go for it. And I want to highlight another. Let's see, is it right here? This right here. I can't be mad at somebody who would shout out and shout against this friggin' freakazoid, Silly Porter, which Rizza did. That's mighty. We need that. We need that. So anything I'm saying is not to discourage anybody from having faith in Rizza Islam. No, it's not. But I'm going to point out some facts that he's spoken about himself, and that my king further highlighted, and I'll go to his share on his channel on YouTube in order to just put it out there that there's some questionable things going on so that nobody's innocent. And I wonder, when I see the rappers being shot, assassinated, it's almost one a day now. It's crazy, right? I know there's something way deeper going on, where the owners of not only these social platforms, but the owners of these social platforms are really upset, really, really upset. So when I look at this rape allegation, this rape charge, if this young lady is gone to the police, I just wonder who encouraged her to take such an extreme action. Because is Rizza Islam being targeted? That's more than possible. All things are possible. None of us were there directly that we can say declaratively, oh yeah, no, I know Rizza did that. And because his character doesn't sink to that depth of just wrongdoing. I don't see that coming from him, even though I see other things that I'm going to highlight right now in this article written by a dude who I'm just like, you're a white dude, all right? But Rizza himself, in a debate against young Pharaoh, brought up the fact that he studied in the L. Ron Hubbard's, I forget what the name of the whole society is, but the Dianetics guy, the
Scientology.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. The Scientology, he studied under that for 20 years. That's vast. He never, entered the Nation of Islam until after that 20 years of studying. He studied them for 5 years. Now, granted, anybody can wake up. Anybody. I did myself. So as I say, I'm not coming here to defame our brother Rizza. I'm calling him a brother because I mean it full force, right? I always hope and just work on the best of us, the best that's within us. So I don't want anybody to get angry with me. You probably will still, some, because I'm just stating what Rizza has stated himself, right? So when I say that, I'm just declaring that connection, because I'm also now looking at the nation and them recommending the auditing classes to the members, where they demanded every single member take these auditing classes under the lesson plan set forth by L. Ron Hubbard, who was a racist. And let me go on over to my King's website, where he just broke it down, and he did a very light foray into the history. Let's see, 25. I don't know if I subscribe to my King's. Wait, where are you going? Okay, got it. All right. Year cycle. I don't know if that's going to come up if I just hit that without hit. Oh no, it did. Wow, that's a wonderful thing. Let's go to the videos. So right there, L. Ron Hubbard exposed. I'm not going to play it because it's 20 minutes, but he just went over the nefarious origins of Scientology that go all the way back through a character by the name, I think his name is Ken Ward. I could be incorrect, but that goes all the way back to Aleister Crowley, right? So to just present, and I was on board. I was arguing in favor of this because I love the minister. I still love the minister. I'm always going to speak so well of the minister because he has healed millions. I know that right now I am the recipient of a love that people write books about and nobody believes is possible. right? I watch romance movies like nobody's business because I love romance movies. Trust me, when I watch one, I'm like, been there, done that, even though I enjoy the heck of it out of it. It's not because I'm jealous. It's not because I'm pining away. I live this because of Minister Farrakhan, right? So I'm just saying that there are, even according to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan, there are operatives all up in the nation. There are Boule Greek societies all up in the nation, encouraging it to do things that would make the Honorable Elijah Muhammad just say, what the hell? And he was, what the heaven? Okay. And so I just want to put the data out there. I'll put the link to this so you can, my king said he just went over the lightest parts of this. He could come back and do a whole breakdown because he started finding things when he was researching and he was like, why ain't anybody talking about this? Right. So let me copy the link and let's see now. Here we go. I don't have the live. Okay, here we go. And turn the volume down. There we go. All right, got it. Got it. Thank you so much. And let me pop out the chat. All right, and put that right there. Okay. And so I anytime, and when I came to YouTube, I recognized it as a incredible, joyous, but serious duty. It rises above my own feelings, my own individual preferences, either. If they don't align with the truth, then I got to put me to the background, right? And so that's all that I'm presenting this as. Is this is complicated, even between what happened with Rizza and this young woman. First off, Rizza ain't no young man. I don't know how old the sister is, but he's not young. He's I don't know how many relationships he's been in. I'm not really concerned about that, but I'm just saying we gotta separate, because this could just be, a real bad misunderstanding that folks around these two persons have taken full advantage of, and advise this woman to not examine her own just role in all of this and take this brother to court, to take him before our enemy's judicial system, so that you're not going to have a real resolution that's going to be building for us as a people, but it's going to be destructive. And that's what happens when you keep just, connecting yourself with these folks, the pale folks. Is things get more chaotic and more confusing, even when it's just simple, right? And that's why in separating from them, you must travel the straight and narrow path, not your own, oh, I think I can handle this. I think I can lie down with my fiance, not my husband, but my fiance, and somehow or another it's going to be okay. Now, I am not co-signing rape in any circumstances, okay? If you, the sister, if you said no, and you meant no, that's something that no matter what, the brother has to respect, right? But there's levels to this, whereas the minister said it gets more complicated. And that would be on Rizza's onus to have prepared himself for that. Because when you are a figure of target this devil is going to want to take you down. That's why you got to be wearing that armor of God at all times. In private, where nobody, you think this is my woman here, and she got my back. But who's got her back if she happens to get emotional at that moment, and for whatever maybe understandable reason? I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I'm just saying, this is why we need to separate, so that a situation that can be resolved doesn't have to go through a guilty or not guilty court of law run by our enemies, who would have every reason to exploit you, just parade you in front of the whole world for their benefit, so they can make a clowning situation out of your very salient, fact-based legacy of fighting on our behalf. Right? I don't like that you come from Scientology. Right? I'm on looking. You've been there for 20 years. And let me go and show the other data, because there's all sorts of stuff that you are just, embedded in with, oh yeah, that's the article again, with charges that are brought on you because I do believe, I'm not sure if it was your mother, but one of your family members was found guilty based on the evidence. I don't know, but it seems like the evidence was pretty thick of defrauding people or committing fraud against people when it comes to a program that you were running based on not LG. I just was reading that as I was going by, but based on the World Literacy, what was it, Forum or something, and there he is in the photo with one of the Scientology e-meter readers. And so this was something that, as I say, that was then. I'm not going to even, because to me, this is not a capital offense against Black us. This is just something that you could have said, I'm done with that. But at the same time, I still look at the nation, and they're sliding into a connection that goes back to Aleister Crowley. And that I understand from my King's massive research is heavily influenced by these Greeks, where there's this worship of Black celebrities, even ones who are married to completely witchcraft infused, thoroughly non-Black women, sewn up with plastic and all sorts of nasty stuff. And this has been the veering of the nation, where I'm just like, I understand that you're out there trying to influence these celebrities, but they're winding up influencing the nation into a materialism where they're having parties and there's, and it's to celebrate Kobe and Bryant. And I'm like, what? Kobe was peddling full Satanism with his Black Mamba. Right? I can show you I wish I could show you the share that I did going over his, like dark musings, where he did these like demonic characters in these animations, or just demons. And he's saying, oh no, we're telling children you got to go to the dark side. What? And this is something that the nation is holding parties for, to celebrate. No, I love you. Oh my God, I love you. You saved my life. You saved my whole family's lives. And so I just am like, I'm not a person who's going to get up here and say, oh, well, all religions are bad. Because no, that's what the white man's given us, right? He steals. White man ain't create God. Arabs didn't give birth to Allah. Hell no. Islam is black. The Prophet Muhammad was black. Right? Don't come up here and think that just because there needs to be some voices that just say, warning, warning, you're getting a little too close to them people who are vultures on our souls, right? That they don't love you. I love you. I'll love you forever. But when I see the celebrities up there and all the rest of it, I'm just like, what's happening? When I see the, Greek letter guys up in there and you got all these symbols going on that have absolutely nothing to do with Islam, I wonder, right? So I'm just saying it's so complicated. It's not something that should ever be in front of their judicial system because they're just going to put a blank slate verdict on the whole thing. And then people forever, I've seen it happen where just one bad word and people forever defame you and just make a broad-based determination. And then they're just going around trolling the whole friggin' planet with bad tidings on all of us. We are also connected. And we're going to be connected until we can establish a narrative that frees us. Right? So that's all that I have to say. And thank you for listening. This is very personal to me because the nation, Minister Farrakhan has saved my life. Right? And so that's it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for talking so much, Brother Yapo.
You're fine. I was listening. I was like I said, I was getting up to speed on the situation and what you're talking about, and I still don't understand all of what's going on, but I did make a few notes while I was listening, and pretty much I don't know that I could speak directly to the situation, but I could speak in general terms about it.
Right.
I know that first off, as far as him and Scientology goes, you know what, and you already know my history. If I would, like 20 years ago, maybe a little more, but I would, classic COON, just classic. Like people who know me now just literally don't recognize me as the person that I was. Name was different, thought processes was different, just everything was different.
Right.
As far as like being a conservative Republican, all this, I can't even. It would be like the difference, and I mean this. It would be like the difference of always knowing me as being a horse, a literal horse, and then one day you meet me and I'm a human being. That's how different it is. That's how different it is.
Yeah.
So I know people can come out of that stuff and people can change, and so wherever we come from as Black people, born and raised in this system, it would be like a legitimate miracle to grow up in it and come out of it without having some kind of stench on you to a greater or lesser degree. I mean, there's just no way that you can come through this system and not get the stench on you, because everything is geared toward it and designed toward it, as far as teaching us self-hate and teaching us to that we're the worst on the planet and all this garbage. And you just taught that from the moment that you come out of the womb crying. Until they shovel you into the ground, and there's it's really hard. It's really hard to break from that. A lot of us do, but some of us don't, and even those of us who do, it's almost a lifelong process unlearning all the crap that we were taught, all this negative garbage. But as far as brother Rizza's situation specifically, I was thinking about, that's why it's so important for us to teach for the men among us to teach our men and boys, and the women among us to teach our women and girls. Because you can't, if I have $100 in the bank, I can't get out 1,000. If there's 1,000 in the bank, I can't get out 10,000. You can't get out of something what's not in there. And therefore you can put a person in any situation you want. You could, and I often have told people, I say you could get a literal dump truck and dump cocaine onto my lawn from a dump truck filled with coke. And all that would happen is that stuff would sit there until the rain soaked it into the ground, even if it's sitting there for months, because I would never use it because I'm not a cokehead. It's not in me. It's not something I desire. It's not. So many times when something happens, and there has to be some access into us in the first place for it to even work. And so, as far as the allegations go, I wasn't, just like you. I wasn't there. I don't know what's going on.
Exactly.
But in terms of when someone's saying, well, they were, a woman might have been dressed provocatively, or she might lie down, and so on and so forth. And I just say it like this. You know what? If I had a brand new Bentley, I mean brand new 2023 Bentley, and I filled up the tank and parked it someplace, left the door open, left the windows down, left the key in it, and left it running, right? The question becomes, does anyone have a right to come and take it? The answer is no. Now, exactly. Am I dumb for doing it? Am I naive for doing it? Oh, yeah, all day long. Is there a problem with me doing that? Like, as far as my thought process about it goes, yeah, probably. But does that give anyone the right to come and take it? Because some people would say, well, if you're dumb enough to do that, then they should have taken it. No, because that's the whole theory behind that television show that I watched a few times until I started really hating it, called Bait Car. You have these cops and they set up a bait car so that and make it very enticing for people to, for our people to jump in it, and take it. They let it drive, and then they kill the engine, remotely, and lock the door so they can't get out. And then they go and arrest them. They set them up.
Entrapment.
Exactly. Now, me, I could see. I have done this like twice in my life, and was just hoping with all my heart that nobody saw me do this. Like the owner didn't walk up on me while I was doing it, and I was blessed that it didn't happen either time. But there were a couple times that I walked past someone's car and literally saw, like, both times it was a purse, and I saw their purse sitting on the passenger seat, and the window was down. And so I leaned in, and one time I had a newspaper, and I leaned in and I covered it with the newspaper and kept it moving. And the second time, I can't remember what I did, but somehow I covered it up. I leaned into whoever's car it was and covered it up. Now, yeah, I could have got if somebody had seen me and thought I was trying to steal their stuff. But I'm just like, if somebody's going to see this and they're going to steal it.
Right.
My point being, though, that just because that was sitting there, I didn't feel like I had a right to take it, and nor did it give me a right to take it.
Right. Right.
And so,
go ahead. Keep going. Sorry, brother.
No, it's all right. So
no.
No, all I'm trying to say is that the brother could have been set up. It could have been like bait car.
That's
You know,
true.
he could have been set up, but I don't know. I don't know the situation, but I do know that they're good for setting people up.
That's the thick of it, and that's the point where we'll never be able to trust the resolution better. I mean, there's always going to be problems, but as long as these people are in charge and they're the ones that we have to, bring these conflicts to, you don't know what's going on. And like with your metaphor with the car, analogy with the car, where just because the key's in the ignition and maybe even if someone turned it on and the motor's running so you could just jump right on in and drive off, that doesn't make it not stealing. You're still stealing. You're still committing the crime, and you're going to have to pay the consequences thereof. So all of this is very nuanced. This isn't like somebody who, we could all just sit back and say, oh, Rizza Islam. Oh, are you kidding me? That guy? Like with the other ones, situations where Nature Boy and Polite and what's his name? The Uhuru movement. I can't remember. Ghazi Kozo. All of these. That's the pattern that I notice. And then also with Black Lives Matter, one executor over Black Lives Matter after the other is being brought up on, embezzlement charges or tax fraud. All of these people you could look at and you could say, oh, yeah, okay, all right, I could see where that happened. But when it's someone and it's more nuanced, that's where the lesson is that you can't just go bold-face attacking them. You got to ponder the situation in more subtle consideration, and then you all you could do is give them the benefit of the doubt until more data is available. But I just wanted to speak on it because I'm like, this is the lesson of why we must separate, because as long as they have jurisdiction over us, we're just sitting ducks. Even when we're doing good things, even when we're pro-Black, like a Sister Sada Shakur, Joanne Chesimard, they caught her up in a complete sting operation. And in their media, anytime they mention her, just like with Cosby is going to be the face for them. And I saw someone had commented they're the biggest rapists ever, the pale people, but Cosby is going to be their go-to, substitute, their straw man. That any joke about rape, and then 5 seconds later they're going to mention Cosby. Even though when you go over the facts of the trial, it's obvious the man was railroaded. But as long as we don't separate, then those of us who are on the edge, and any of us at any time, like you said, brother, can be on the edge because none of us are perfect. Then they are going to come in like gangbusters. And that's why Joanne Chesimard is still, Asada Shakur is still in Cuba. If she's there, I don't know. Hopefully she's not, because Cuba, they're every single country now, they've invaded it with the friggin' World Bank. And so it's just, we should know. And I'm like, we have to fight. And for me, I'm just resolved to just going up and doing what needs to be done in a peaceful manner, because they're coming for even our children. This is not tolerable anymore. This is not a game anymore. It's not a joke. We got to separate so that when situations like this arise, we can handle it in our nature, the way that we always have. Like you were saying the other day, that in African languages, there's certain words that just didn't exist until the white people showed up. If a word doesn't exist in a language, that's because the people, it was never part of their consideration, because it was never a feature of their existence.
Exactly.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Their form of imprisonment, of torture, that's their nature. It's not ours. So I'm just like, it's over. We got to leave these people, and we don't need to have the land to do it. We just have to have the will.
Sis, I was in a chat room this morning, and I'm going to preface it by saying this. when they sent whichever new space telescope this is that they sent out, the scientists were talking about how their view of space, their view of the universe from Earth has become obstructed because there's so much space junk
Wow.
flying around in the atmosphere. So many satellites and so much junk that they sent up there. And I was in a stream this morning. I asked the question, and I basically asked it tongue in cheek, but the question was, tell me one place, and I mean one, literally, where white people, pink people have gone and they didn't F it up, including space. And they tell me one place, just one. And of course you can't do it because one doesn't exist. They bring no value to any place they go. And to the point of the discussion, what they have to, when you don't have a counter argument to an argument, then all you can do is silence the other side. And part of that silencing sometimes means that you literally take a person's life, or you figuratively take their life, or you imprison them, or you defame their character or their name to the point that no one will listen to them. And even if you do, imagine someone brought someone up on charges of being a child molester or something like that, and it wasn't true. And you continue to listen to them. Most people are going to avoid them like the plague, whether it's true or not. People are going to start avoiding them like the plague just so that they're not associated with them. Because once you're accused of certain things, it just stays with you.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you did it or not.
It's embarrassing for others to be seen with you or to even mention you. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Not whatever one thinks of Michael Jackson. I feel he's problematic, but we're all problematic in our ways. But regardless of what anybody thinks of him, by the end of his trial, I was telling everybody there's one thing that he knows above everything on this planet, if he didn't learn anything else, and that is who his real friends were.
Wow.
Because after what he went through, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks of his guilt or innocence. I'm just talking about the situation itself. Anybody who stuck by him, that's when he found out who his friends really were. And that's just the truth of it. And so when it comes to but most people, and again, they know human nature. And oh brother, I was just about to say his name, the one who's they say is the father of propaganda. You can say
Edward Bernays.
Edward Bernays. He knew by research, and they know by studying us and by studying human nature, that human nature just is what it is. If I'm looking at this sister, and she has 24,000 subscribers, which I froze her at, but it's still 24,000 subscribers. So someone might come across her and be like, well, she has 24,000 subscribers. She must really be talking about something that people are listening to. She must really have a strong voice or be on the ball.
Right.
And then they're like, yeah, we got to put a stop to this, because it was showing 24,000 subscribers. I'm talking about you, of course. It was showing 24,000 subscribers, but they know how many there really were, and it could have been like a 250,000,
right,
or more. And they know that many people are still watching you because those numbers are so high. But now they have it, like I said, I called you Sisyphus when we were texting back and forth, and I was like, now people will come. Oh, she only has 55 subscribers.
Right.
I went to, she must not be talking about anything. I went and hung out on Light Bearers stream this morning, and there was all of, at one point it was all of me in the stream and maybe 3 people watching. And people will watch, and she drops some nuggets of wisdom, and I'm like, yeah, these are the people I want to listen to,
Yes.
because I saw the stream of someone who shall remain nameless. I think you can guess what I'm talking about. And while she was like dogging out uh, black men and so on, this this live stream had literally over 3,500 people watching it. A
Right.
live stream, not after the fact.
Yes, usually it's after the fact.
Right. This is like 3,500 people watching actively during
Yes.
that. I'm like, and it was so disgusting, disheartening, and scary.
And
To watch this.
advocating something that would make Joseph Mengele sit down and take notes.
Exactly. And that's allowed to flourish. We could go, we could talk about it all day. There's sites that we could go to right now that's showing full frontal nudity. You know which ones I'm talking about, and bordering on, if not crossing the line into child porn.
Yes.
But they're still up. They're still up. And,
Yes.
and straight up full frontal nudity. And
there's that mother who,
that's what I was talking about.
Yes, breastfeeding her children who are way too old, and I don't even want to describe what's going on all over, but I was just like, that's pornography, that's child pornography.
Exactly. And nothing was blurred out.
Nothing.
You could see everything.
Yeah.
And then there's a Gilbert Godfrey, who I personally think is funny, but he's dead now. But Gilbert Godfrey video, and just 1% of what he was saying was against the so-called community guidelines, and that video's still up. It's been up for years, and it's just still gaining views and stuff. So
it's completely arbitrary the way that they mete out their community guidelines, and in a way that is success for us, but only if we keep the truth going on without being like me. Being addicted to their social media, I can't afford that, because was some troll who came through and said, oh, for as much as you talk about pro-black, you are still up on here. And I felt good when I read that, and then I blocked and deleted the person, because I'm like, no, I don't. I'm about building off of here. If it's not visible on a large extent, it's far more inevitably effective, because and you've said it and I've said it, even demons want to know the truth. You cannot sustain yourself off of lies. So it's a beautiful healing thing to know there are places we can go where we're going to get the truth, where there's proof that Black love is so real. It's so all over the place, whether they showcase it or not. There's no way that them and their media are going to convince us that, no Black people are getting together with Black people. That's just a lie. So the more they do these things, the more they reveal the new manifestation of their same old racism.
Right. And see, when it comes to someone like Brother Rizza Islam, whenever I see, I'm always going to err on the side of our people. Whenever I see a Black man or a Black woman, but it's usually going to be a Black man, accused of some kind of sexual misconduct, I side eye it immediately, because that's low hanging fruit. It's like page 1 in the playbook.
Right. Of course, the Black man, he can't control himself.
Right. Yeah. We need to shut this Black man up. Just work out some kind of a sex scandal, and that's their go-to, because it's easy. You can make it. You can like you can kind of sort of always make it stick because you can always find somebody, to pay to say this and to say that, and you can just jam people up, and then even after it, this is I'm gonna try to make a real long story real short. There's Marvel Comics, and there was a comic book company called oh brother, um, Defiant, and they were moving up on Marvel, and Marvel didn't want them to move up on them. This was a couple decades ago, and so Marvel ended up. I'm gonna make this a real short story. But what Marvel did was they sued Defiant for like a copyright infringement or whatever. Marvel knew when they sued Defiant that there was no copyright infringement, and they knew that they were going to lose the case. But Defiant spent so much money fighting um, fighting this copyright infringement that they ran out of money, and they ended up having to fold, which is what Marvel wanted them to do. And then, in the end, uh, they were like, well, Marvel, we have found in the favor of Defiant. Okay, fine. Defiant's out of money,
right?
And now they're gone. You've never heard of them, and they're gone as
You're
if
right.
they never been. And that's the point, is that you find a way to uh, to like get black men and black women, defame their character or use up their figurative capital and money, and then after you're finished with them, it doesn't matter if you find out that what everybody was saying was a lie. When it came out as on page, on the front page, and when it comes out that it was all a lie, it's buried on page 52 in a little square in the back that nobody is ever going to see, and they know it. Their whole purpose is to just cause the problem and to silence that voice because they have no counter argument, and they know they don't. They know they don't.
Oh, that's absolutely beautiful. Because I got a comment from Brother Rizza's cousin. He said I have no proof, but he said he's his cousin, and he said he would never do that. That's not his character. So to even bring up the question creates an atmosphere of doubt and just questioning, because you don't want to see a woman harmed at all, and everybody's nature is, because the female is the weaker sex, to want to protect her. Now, I don't want to just accuse her of having been sent in on purpose, because I don't know her, but I'm also just wondering who was surrounding her, who advised her
Right.
to go and report this when this is your fiance, and you did have him over the house, and you did have him sleeping in the bed. It sounds like sort of the same thing, not exactly, far more nuanced, but what they did to Brother Tupac to get him in prison, where it was just a bold-faced setup. And so, like you said, yeah, when someone is speaking something and they've got the ear, even when, no matter if they are 100% pure in the message they're carrying forth, if you're putting that much positivity out for us to grab hold of, that's dangerous to their hegemony. So that's something that even with white men who reach a certain level, they want to eclipse them. Right? Kennedy, the man died because he got a little bit too comfortable with so many people liking him. I know more details about Kennedy, but at the same time, I'm just saying during his time, he was looked upon very favorably by the general voting population. And so he thought he had the power, and he didn't. And so that's what I'm saying is this is also subtle. It's also nuanced. This is very different than hearing about Nature Boy being arrested, thank God, for abuse or whatever it was, because he is actually dangerous. He advocates for child all kinds of things that are just pedophilic in what he was expressing. And so, yeah, no tears shed over that. But with Brother Rizza, that's oh wait, I don't know what's going. Oh, okay, I had to click on that. Otherwise, my computer screen went blank. That's a whole different situation that involves us directly, more than just somebody who's always been questionable.
Right. And that's one of the, see, they have so many traps for our people and for us as a collective. They have us so boxed in. And what I mean by that is you had you have like you have people among us who are our people who are running rampant in the community. And when I say running rampant, I mean like murdering each other, murdering their children, and so on.
Mm.
And when this happens and they get picked up by the cops, I won't even make it that extreme. Say they get caught robbing a store at gunpoint or whatever, and then when they get caught by the cops, now I'm stuck in a position of having to take up for them or not. But now you're caught in this position because it's a black man or a black woman, and you know that they're about to enter into a system that is completely corrupt. But at the same time, you can't just say what they did was all right.
Mm.
And so now we're all always caught in between. Now you will have those of us because I know because I talk to them all the time who will just say, well, that's what they get for being a thief. They need to go to jail. They need to. None of our people should have to deal with this system. It was like you were saying at the very beginning. We should have our own system if it's like a council of elders or something, but we should have our own systems that we can turn to, our own enforcement that we can turn to. And when someone is doing something they shouldn't be doing, then at the very least, you know that what's happening to you or whatever penalty, if there is a penalty that you get, or the decision as to your guilt or innocence isn't going to be blamed or isn't going to be because you're black.
Right.
Based on the facts and what actually happened one way or the other.
And what a factor.
And if something does happen and we dole out like a severe punishment, I can almost guarantee you, depending on what the infraction is or what the crime is, some of us would rather be in the white man system than have our own people set loose on us.
Oh my goodness!
If we actually were guilty of something.
Right. And that is such a factor to be considered when you walk into their courtrooms. You have, as an individual black person, I know we all have this. We know who we are. We perceive ourselves as fully human. They don't. When, that's what I always find it so hysterical when the divestors and the swirlers say, get out of Blackistan. Everywhere you go, you are seen as Blackistan. You can't get out of it. So you go into a courtroom, they're going to see you in a series of stereotypes that they're working, maybe if they're a good white person, they're working comprehensively to ignore, but it's just reflex for them. They have to fight themselves not to just drop you into a very small category that has been preset for them based on their own fears that they had from childhood, that they had to talk themselves out of. Whereas we wake up from the very moment I even notice my own face in the mirror is a black face. Not that I understood or knew what that meant, but still I have my overall sense that I'm just a human being. Someone, when they see me, they should be able to go, wait, I don't know why there's reverb. Let me turn that down. They should be able to see me for the human being that I am, but that's not what they see. no matter how many, ways I want to explain it away, they see a Black woman and they see attached to that all their stereotypes.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Hold on. So I'm gonna read a couple comments. Queen, I know who I am. Said, and peace to you. She said, I was recently asked, what did I think about Ayapo's video / interview with Sister Ajali? That was very weird to ask me for YouTube, or that was very weird for YouTube to ask me, considering I never get a notification for Ayapo's channel.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
YouTube asked you that.
Ask Sister Queen, I know who I am. That.
Oh my goodness, that's why you're not the only one that they do that for. And given the fact that I just on the regular talk against violence, recommend peace and diversity, real sustainable diversity, I know that's the reason. It's Fukushima is the reason why they've been so afraid of my voice.
Mm-hmm.
And, because I don't just go according to the, like hackneyed repetitiveness with getting the warning out about Fukushima. I actually want to rescue our people. So that you're not the only one, Sister Queen, I know who I am, that who's told me that YouTube will put up a separate little question, say, oh, how do you feel about this channel? And, it's weird as heck, but it's what it is.
And Goddess, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Tunu, Tunu, and if I'm not, correct me. And she said, oh, they trying to get Rizza too. They probably going after Eddie Griffin or Yaslin next. They getting desperate now. Yeah, I think they're way past desperate, but I agree with you. Yeah.
Yes.
They'd have to go backward to get to desperate.
Right. That's funny. That's where the last thing that I put in a title, the RADS, is absolutely pivotal to all of this because it has removed their time. These people are such professional, expert liars. I don't know, but I wonder if it's part of their DNA itself, because I think of them as a predator species in the way that they have historically been on this planet. So the deception that would come with being a predator mimic, it would just be intrinsic to them. So when I look at the radiation aspect of it, I know that they've run out of time and they had no concept when they deliberately, and everything I've researched, blew up Fukushima. They didn't understand fully just how swiftly that carnage would radiate out all over the planet. And so that the origin is obvious, even though it's the death has come from many different nuclear facilities and the bomb testing that they did, but they've stopped it. I know that they know we don't have any time. That's why they've gotten ridiculous. The stories are not even natural progressions in what would be like, oh, this was the era that we did this, and now this is the new era. This is just coming up from on top, and they're shoving it down our throats. And you've got ordinary people who are saying, oh, to hell no. And all they're doing is just enacting their censorship so they could shut up anybody who has any questions. But these people are noticing. That's why they're going after the rappers, in my conclusion. Those are not natural assassinations. That's not just because what they want us to believe, or black people just so crazy, they'll just shoot each other up. Right. Because I remember the Popeye's chicken debacle where there was supposed to be all these fights over Popeye's chicken sandwiches. Where do you see when it's something as a natural group behavior, group dynamic, it's going to remain a feature, but you don't see that happening over anything else. What was so magical about Popeye's chicken sandwiches?
Right.
No, that was an order from on high. We need you to keep out the narrative that black people are just so violent. And also a big hee ha ha joke. They're fighting over chicken sandwiches. right? So now you've got this thing where I know they've been silently evacuating the West Coast, but they can't just have all these homeless people out just defecating in front of established businesses. What? Since when would the white man allow something like that? And it's like, oh, we love people and we support homeless people so much that we're going to let them defecate on some rich friggin' street. No, that was a silent evacuation for all the clueless rich white people that they're not going to explain Fukushima to. And so now they have stuff happening in New York and in other places because they don't want to isolate it. Just like the Japanese, when they started cleaning up the radioactive debris from Fukushima, which you could never do all the way,
Right.
and they started burning it in incinerators all over Japan. You can't burn up radiation. All they did was distribute the effects of it so that when there's a cancer uptick, it's not just happening in Fukushima, it's happening all over Japan. And so these are things that they set into motion because this is what they do. Social engineering. They think of us like cattle. And how do you get them to do the next level of jump off, which people just don't want to do? People don't want to go out on the streets and start shooting random folks, but that's what they want. I just unsubscribed from a brother who I noticed he started peddling just, black people need to go out there and just be violent.
Yeah,
And
no,
they got in Illinois this the what do you call it? The purge laws set in motion now, where in 2 years they're going to be just releasing people who have even committed second-degree murder, and they can't bring them in, and they're setting this up. This is coming from on high. It's not coming from the common person in the street. Even when they were shouting, we need to shut the police down, that was coming from the BLM crew.
Right.
That wasn't coming from us. Same thing with critical race theory. It's not a theory. And I don't need to go to little white children and insult them because their parents are lying to them. Their society is lying to them. That'd be a waste of my damn time. And it's meant to cause friction because that's the way the soulless elites hide their bloody hands.
Right. And the thing is, they want to try to present our people as you said, the most violent on the planet. We're just out of control. We're trying to, we're just killing each other in droves. And where I'm getting ready to go. Now, every study that I know of, whether it has to do with starfish or freaking milk, there's a study like every 5, 10, or 15 years, 20 years. And there's always study after study after study. That's why every 2 minutes you're getting something that says, oh, this is good for you. No, it's not good for you anymore. Oh, that's bad for you. No, it's actually good for you, and so on. And it just goes on and on because they're constantly doing studies. But there's only one study that I know of that they only did one time, and they know they dare not do it again. And that is the study of the comparison of upper and lower class homicides by age, sex, and race. And when they did that study, it lasted I want to say 22 years, but I'll say 20 just to be safe, but I think it was 22 years. And in that study, where they studied homicides among the upper middle class and the upper class, there were 0 homicides committed by Black people of either sex. 0 in over 20 years. Not accidental, nothing. There were no homicides committed by Black people who were taken out of a pressure cooker. But the white people in the studies, whether it was male to male or male to female or whatever, they made up like 92% of the homicides. Black people made up 0. And I keep emphasizing in 20 years, not 1. And that's what happens. And I had said it before on another live stream, but that's what happens when we start talking all this stuff as Black people about crabs in a barrel. I'm like,
oh, please explain. You say that so beautifully.
Constantly talking about crabs. The natural state of a crab isn't a barrel. That's why they behave the way that they do when you put them in a barrel. The question becomes, who put them in the barrel? When I walk the beach, which is kind of like once a day, when I walk the beach, I see crabs all day long. I have never seen one crab go after another crab. I just haven't seen it ever. And it's because when crabs are out on the beach, they mind their own freaking business and do whatever it is that they're doing. But I guarantee if I was to take all of them and then, throw them into a freaking barrel, they start clawing all over each other and trying to climb over each other because they're no longer in their natural state.
Right.
So when you talk about middle and upper class, it doesn't really have to do with the money of it. It has to do with being removed from the barrel, being removed from being right on top of each other, being removed from being in the pressure cooker. You're able to, then you start to just become who you are and just live the way that you are because our nature is non-violent. We seek peace constantly with everyone.
Right.
This is historically proven. You got people who oppressed us, brought us over here, separated us from everything, and then treated us like crap. And then it seemed like they was going to take their boot off our neck a little bit. And all we still tried to do was get along. No, not get revenge, not make the blood run in the streets, go after anybody. We were just trying to figure out, okay, now how can we build side by side? Which was a mistake, but we couldn't have known that back then because we didn't even. And I'm talking about our ancestors, even with having been victims of their brutality and barbarism, still didn't. Once they got got freedom papers, or once the Civil War was over, and so on, they're like, okay, we's free. And so we can go and build side by side. Yeah, no. They're not like us and we're not like them. And we need to stop trying to project onto them what we are, because they are sure project onto us what they are. They don't want to let us loose because they think that blood would be all over the streets. Because they know that where the situation is the same, and then it was reversed. And it was them that had the boot on their neck, and then they got it off. They would spend the rest of their freaking generations trying to get revenge. Yeah, and they project that onto us.
And it's also for them. It's very relaxing to go to extremes, and that's what the elites want because they know that about their people.
Right.
That they're going to descend into further chaos, and they want that to be vented on us specifically. And so one of the things I noticed with the brother that I unfollowed on Instagram was that they still sent me a notice of his latest upload, and I was just like looking for the thing to say, please hide this off of my feed. Because I was suspecting, I was like, he would every now and then keep hinting, oh, we should take it to the streets. Oh, we can't be cowards, all the usual rhetoric. And I'm like, no, it's not what we're doing is not cowardly. And especially just recognizing that violence is not a solution. It's not going to help anybody. It's actually going to give more strength to our oppressors. And so
real quick, Sister Angelique, real quick. Gwen B said that she wanted a copy of the study. I'm not modded up, so I'm not able to put this link in.
Oh my goodness! So I don't. Yeah, because you're not in the chat room, but I have the study.
I'm trying to link her up,
so I can get that real quick for you, Sister Gwen B. There, okay, nationals.
Or you could just mod a brother up.
Oh, I got it. Oh yeah, no, you have to put a comment. You have to put a comment in there. Okay.
Okay, I think I think I did. But yeah, I tried to put the link in, and I don't know if it's visible to anybody.
Okay, I got the link right there for you, Sister Gwenby. And I'm just waiting. I'm looking for your comment, brother. Did you put a comment?
Yeah, it was actually right before yours. Here, let me put a comment down.
Wow, that's interesting because
Here,
I don't see
I
your
just wrote
comment. Let's see
comment.
now. Oh, there you go. Okay. Oh, that's why. Here we go. Add moderate. There you go, my brother. Now you can link up all you want.
Thank you for the wrench.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And thank you to everybody who, you got the wrench and I can't give wrenches to everybody, but I just have a long connection with everybody who has a wrench. So that's the reason why you got that, including you, beloved brother. Oh, reliable.
You know what a wrench is? That's when something's real soapy, and then you put it up underwater, and then like wash the soap off. That's what my mom used to call it, wrenching it.
I swear, brother, you got that dad sense of humor.
That's what she used to call it. She said, "Go wrench that off."
Wrench it out. That's funny. Okay. I think I didn't want this to be long, like our last couple conversations where it was like at least 3-4 hours.
Right. But I did want to make a comment about the what's going on with the rappers. Are you talking about the one who was just murdered at the was the chicken and waffle place?
Yes.
And all I want to say is it kind of bothers me because I'm starting to hear this narrative among our people, and we're referring to these people as like thugs and animals, and so and I get it. It is frustrating and it makes you angry, and it's a wrong thing to do. You can't go around taking people's lives, but at the same time, when we're not careful, we start slipping into Fox News talking points about our own people, and we have to be really careful about that. I might say it at the dinner table, but out in a public forum, don't be running our people down. Don't black men don't be running down our black women. Black women don't be running down our black men. Black people don't be running down our youth, and so on. That doesn't mean giving a pass or saying everything is all right, but just be conscious of where you are and who can be listening in and how it could possibly be used against. Because when you have a people who are trying to teach us that we're the most violent on the planet, and then we start perpetuating that ourselves to each other, then it becomes a problem. So,
oh my God. And that's so not true. I highly recommend, I noticed that with this new channel, you can't see my subscriptions anymore. But at the same time, I just go to right now, I'm absolutely riveted by everything that's happening in China, because that is going to be linked with the economic collapse, and more so than it has collapsed, of everything else, because all these nations are so intricately involved with one another. But the way the Chinese are treating their own, they've got them so, and I can't even say the words because of the censorship, but they can't leave even their homes during earthquakes. They lock gates on them, supposedly to keep them safe. But they're up in there starving to death. I'm serious. There are videos of children saying they haven't eaten in 3-4 days. There are 8 Chinese people just committing suicide, jumping off of balconies one after the other. And there are authorities walking the streets, making sure they stay locked up, who are just saying, they're like, what, do you want us to die in here? And he's like, well, if you die, I'll just bury you. These are amongst their own people. So no,
Mhm.
we're not the worst people on the planet, and they want us completely concentrated on these little. When someone's murdered, that's not a little distraction. That's a big, huge
Right.
thing. But
Right.
that's what with all these rappers is that we stay like I remember when I was a little girl and I would watch, Positively Black and all those wonderful programs. It suddenly occurred to me as I got older, I was like, why aren't we talking about international news? And all kinds of topics. Why is it always whenever it's pro-black, it's always pivoted on a certain range? And that's where,
Thank you.
you and I, we always use the term oppression porn.
Right.
Now they also expanded with black on black crime porn. And no, we're not the worst at all. And the onus isn't on us to be perfect so that we have to apologize for every single indiscretion that a black person does. No, if they're going to be in control of our destiny, they have to be perfect. That is a level of proof that is so non existent, even the swirlers would have to admit it.
Hmm.
So I'm just like, no, we're not. We're not the worst people on the planet by any standard.
Right. I totally agree. And it's a narrative again. Here we go. That is the reason that we have, and me and Sister Ajali and others are working hard to get control of our own narrative. And when we slip into this oppression porn, all this stuff, and then we start going at our own people, that means that we once again have lost control of the narrative. Because again, like I said, it's you may as well be listening to Fox News, Fox News Channel talking points at that point. But but when you read something like This Black or This Black Nation or
Or
or Melanin,
melanin.
then you are getting you're getting something new. You're getting a fresh look and a real look at our people. And we're getting hold and trying to get control of our own narrative and stop letting our narrative be given to our people by people who hate us, who hate us.
Mm, yeah.
And so before we go, I'll put in my shameless plug, and then you can put your plug won't be shameless because it's your channel. But I'm gonna put in my
Please,
shameless self
brother, there
promotion
ain't
with
no shame in you being here for our family. So just because you grow, we all grow.
right. And same to you. It's uh, we all rise together in that way. So Melanin is available on Amazon. It is also available on Barnes and Noble. On Barnes and Noble, it's only available right now as an ebook. On Amazon, it's available as an ebook. It's also available as a soft cover, and it's available as a hardcover. So uh, it's a book. It's a book that's for our people, written by someone who loves, honors, and respects our people. Right now, it has 2 5-star reviews, and it is still holding its own in the top 100 black sci-fi books on Amazon. It goes up and down, but it's still staying in that pocket. I'm trying to keep it in there. So if you haven't purchased your copy in one of those forms, then go on and what are you waiting for? Go on and get that sucker today. And that's my spiel. I'm not really good at it, but that's that's about my book.
You did fantastically. And that's just, it should be self evident. It should be just obvious because I know we like good stories. And
Mm-hmm.
to have ones that make us feel empowered, that's gold. That's culture. So I see hearing you makes me feel better about what I've had to do that also for me feels weird as heck because I'm not the type of if you knew me in real life, my neighbors don't even know I write books. I don't, go around. Oh, I am an author. I don't do that, but I do it because it's necessary for what we are trying to achieve, which is control of our own reputation on the planet. A protest to an obvious attack. This is not some lighthearted thing. These people are racially defaming us in ways that are make no. How do we go from being homophobic to overnight we're the biggest freaks on the planet? That's not possible unless there are billions of us potentially who are livid, absolutely livid, and feeling powerless in our just disagreement with the whole strategy.
Right.
So what we're doing is absolutely critical. Go buy our brother's book, Melanin. You are not going to regret it. I can see it because I'm reading the book and the book is fantastic. I can see it when you open up the pages, you're like, what? What's this? Huh? What? Step away from the dogma, from the stereotype that just loving ourselves, you've got to be out of your mind. No, that's when you actually enter sanity, because we're talking about people who are pushing pedophilia right now. I know that because I've had it happen, if I take my books into, I wish it were not the case. Maybe there's going to be a pro-Black bookstore out there that'll be like, we were just waiting for you, Sister Ajali. How come you didn't come in here? But I've had the experience where I walk into them, and because my works are about straight Black family pride, they don't get accepted. So fortunately, we have the ability before they start banning these books, because trust and believe that's coming next, where you could go and purchase them. Purchase them now. Even if you don't read, purchase them now. You're going to feel so proud of yourself because you're going to be like, I've always been a fighter. You see, I got my collection of Brother Yapo's books and Sister Ajali's. Okay, that's going to be such a powerful feeling, because we are never going to flip the script on you, family. I know I myself personally, if Brother Yapo happens to flip the script, I'm going to be as kind to him as I have been to Rizza. But I highly doubt that will ever be happening to him, because Sister Angela would be ringing his ears.
If I was ever flipped, the only thing that you could know for sure is that somehow I lost my natural mind.
Exactly. Same with me too.
In a mighty way. I mean, oh my goodness. And that's the thing. And I had said this before, but that's one of the things I love about you, sister, is that if I was to lose my mind, you might not talk about me like I'm dirt, but you would avoid me like a freaking cancer, and vice versa. Because this isn't a personality thing. This isn't a cult of personality. This isn't about I'm Ajali's fan, or she's one of my fans, where we can do no wrong, and even if we do something wrong, I'm going to defend it, or she's going to defend it. No, because I was getting ready to joke about the toilet paper, but I'm being serious right now. But no, you have these cults of personality where you see these people are like straight up wrong, or that you literally show people what a charlatan a man or woman is, and they still defend them. Why? Oh, because I like what they're saying. Oh, because they make me laugh, or because really, is that where we are? Is that where we are?
That's
and
powerful.
The toilet paper hangs over. But
I'm gonna let you get away with it. Oh no, I'm not. You are so wrong. That's only because you're still up in the top 100, and my book is about, I don't know, maybe 117. But I know somebody listening. You have not bought that book, so you're gonna go buy that book right now. I know that. That's for sure. That is This Black Nation, which is a sequel to This Black. If you haven't bought This Black yet, you got to buy that one. And I got to repost Brother Iyapo's amazing promotional on this channel, because it is just so astounding. Just advertisement for This Black. And then This Black Nation, I'm 100% firmly astounded that it is even a better narrative than the first one. So you are going to have so much fun. And then for all the things I warn you about, I'm not here to freak you out so you think everything's going to be destroyed. Get Furnace of Affliction, Healing Radiation Damage to the Human Body. That's why they hide the radiation, because there are cures. Okay, but you got to know them. You cannot go to these wonderful healers. I love the healers, but none of them are talking about radiation except for me. So that's just it's a given. And what Sister Zizzer shared with me about those Japanese mothers who have a whole radiation lab. They're not testing. I know pollution is deadly. It's awful stuff. But they're not testing for GMOs. They're not testing for, other types of carcinogens that are coming down in the rain. They're testing for radiation because that stuff is deadly on a one atom basis.
But Sister Lee, the only pushback I'm going to give you on that is that when you mentioned that they're mothers, you're not letting everybody know that these are MIT graduates and that they have advanced degrees in physics and in radiation. And so I think you should make that clear if you're going to talk about it.
Are you kidding me, brother? Right now, you having good fun with me, right?
Yeah, of course I am. Yes, anybody that doesn't know me, I'm being super sarcastic. They're just mothers. They don't have degrees.
Yeah, because
they have
Japan,
the knowledge.
In Japan, if they went to the people with the degrees, they would have turned them down. I know in Japan they turn down people who have problems from the radiation when they go to the hospital. They don't get any treatment there whatsoever. And so these mothers set up these labs when the bulk of the radiation came to the United States of America and Canada. Now it's gone all over the planet and it doesn't go away. That's a big mistake if you think just because the mothers describe how, their families are like, oh, you're still going on about that? Like anyone would say to me. But I understand the science. Radiation doesn't just go away. It's deadly. Right. You could eat something that was grown in the ground where an animal died from radiation 100 years ago. And it'll take you out just as much as it took that animal out. So we have to have testing, and that is my goal. And that should be all of our goals, because this ain't for my benefit. It's for all of our benefits. It's that simple. All right, I've talked enough. You want to say your last word, and I'm just going to say peace.
No, that's it. That's about it. Oh, here I'll tell a joke real quick.
Okay.
There's a guy goes in to see his doctor. The car's going by. Guy goes in to see his doctor, and the doctor says, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you have cancer and you have Alzheimer's. The guy says, well, doc, at least I don't have cancer.
That's a good one. I like that. And then 5 seconds later, he's like, good thing I don't have Alzheimer's. I'm perfectly healthy. You're so welcome, Queen. I know who I am, and everybody.
That's all I got to say. Oh, that's all I got to say.
Okay.
Buy our books. Help them move up in the rankings, and you're actually doing yourself a favor. And let your family and friends know that there are Black people out here taking control of our own narrative and doing things that love, honor, and respect our people.
I mean, it is what it is. Love you, family. Love you, Brother Ayapo. Thank you for all that you've done. All right. Peace and blessings, everyone.